All right, hello there and welcome back to the kitchen. I'm Nick. I'll be cooking for you again today. So what we're gonna get into now is some chicken. We're gonna make today is just a roasted chicken breast with a sauce veloute and a potato rosti. So I'm gonna show you how to do a basic butchery job of a chicken here. So I've just got a nice little spring chicken here. And the first thing I want to do is take off the neck. So I'm just going to grab it here, just around the skin here of the neck. I'm just going to trim away this fat. And then I'm just going to use my knife to go through and just kind of break its neck a little bit. Don't worry, it didn't feel a thing. So I'm just going to take a little pan here, and I'm going to gather all of my chicken bones on there. So I'm going to take my knife here and go through and just snap out the wing bone here. And again, go through. Okay. And if you can see it better from this angle, I'll go right through there and then just snap it out. And that just comes out real nice and easy. And then I'm going to go through between the breast here and the legs. I'm going to just use my knife and I'm just going to cut the skin. Okay, and I'm just going to go through and I'm going to flip it just on its side here so you can see a bit better. And I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure on this bone and that'll pop the thigh bone out. So this part of the animal. And just using the tip of my boning knife here, I'm going to go underneath the knife, underneath the thigh bone there. And then come right along the back side here. And then we've got just a nice chicken thigh. Okay. I'm going to do the same to the opposite side. So using my knife, I'm just going to go right through the skin there. And then all the way down. Then I'm going to flip it on its side. I'm just going to pop that joint out. Okay, you can see the bone just exposes itself right there. And then I'm just going to go right in there underneath the joint. And take off my other chicken thigh. Okay, so there's my 2 chicken legs. Then I'm going to use the breastbone here as a guide. And I'm just going to go straight down the breastbone, peeling the skin back. And just using the tip of my boning knife, separate the breast meat from the rest of the carcass. And just come into the back side of this joint here. And then I've got 1 chicken breast with the wing joint, with the wing bone still attached. So then I'll come in on the opposite side of the breastplate here, the breastbone. And just carefully separating all of this from the rest of the chicken body. So there I've got my other breast. Okay. Okay, so my bones have roasted in the oven. You can see they've got a nice dark color on them. So I'm going to put these just into a small pot. And I'm going to add a little bit of celery, some carrot, some onion. I've got some bay leaves here, a clove of garlic, some black peppercorns, a little bit of bay leaf. Okay. So I'll get that all together in this pot. And then I'll cover it with some water, cold water. And this I'm going to start to cook. That chicken stock we're going to cook for at least 4 hours. I like to cook it for about 6 to 8 hours to really get all the gelatin and flavor out of the bones and to really develop a nice, strong chicken stock. So we'll come back in about 8 hours. Bye. So to make our velouté, we're going to take some butter. Again, about 35 to 40 grams is enough. I'm not going to make too much butter. I'm not going to make too much velouté. So I'm going to put my butter into my pot. And I've also got some flour here. And what I want to do is just melt this butter down just until it starts to brown off a little bit. Then I'm going to add my flour and I'm going to start to cook this. So again, we're making a roux. So just like in classical French cooking, a roux is a mixture of flour and butter. And for a velouté, we want to make a bit of a darker roux. We're going to cook it. Okay? So my butter is melted and just starting to brown off a little bit. So I'm going to add my flour. Again, equal parts flour and butter. And I'll just stir this together. So we've got this really nice, rich, really beautiful smelling chicken stock here. And you can see it's got a nice dark color. Okay, and so what I want to do is just start to add a little bit of chicken stock into my dark roux here. Again, don't add too much because if you add a lot at once, you're going to end up with a very, very lumpy sauce, which is definitely not what you want. And as you add the liquid, the roux will start to thicken and become very, very thick, which is perfectly okay. Just keep adding stock to it a little bit at a time. So your velouté sauce, just like the clam chowder, you want to make sure that you stir it often. You don't want it to stick and you don't want it to burn. And you should be getting a very nice, rich chicken smell coming off of this. And that's, again, as I said, from that development of flavor by roasting the bones. So again, nice low heat. Okay. So our roasty, I'm going to take a little bit of neutral oil. I'm going to use, again, this grapeseed oil. It's got a good smoking point, so it won't burn very quickly. And I'm going to put some of this into my pan. Okay, so just a nice low heat. Then I'm just going to take my potato and I'm just going to form it together to form a little bit of a cake. So by cooking it only partially, we keep a lot of the starch in here, and that added starch will help bind your potato together. So that we can effectively make a nice potato pancake here. So I'm just going to bind this all together in my hand. And I'm pressing fairly hard, but not too hard. I don't want to crush it all. Okay? So I'm going to put this now into my nice hot pan. So that goes into my pan on a nice low heat. Okay, so our velouté, chicken velouté sauce is simmering away nicely. Our potato roasty, our potato pancake is in the oven. And now we're going to finish everything off with a little bit of chicken. So I'm going to take a little bit of salt and just season the skin side of this chicken. Then I'm going to take a little bit of oil. Again, I'm using a nice neutral grapeseed oil. Into a nice warm pan. Doesn't have to be super hot at this point. So I'm just going to get this oil hot enough so that it just moves around the pan nicely. And then I'm just going to put my chicken breast in. And I'm just going to put it away from me. And we're going to let that start to cook very, very nice and slowly. So my chicken, I'm just going to flip this over. And this is going to go into the same oven as the potato. Okay, so our chicken velouté is done. Our potato rosti has come out of the oven, nice and golden brown. And I just pulled our chicken out of the oven, and it's essentially done. So there you can see we have a nice golden brown potato cake or rosti, nice and crusty and crunchy on top. Okay. So here's our chicken breast, nice and golden. So what I want to do with this now is I'm going to put this onto the heat, and I'm going to take a little bit of butter again. That's going to go in. I'm going to take some garlic cloves, which I've just crushed, a little bit of fresh thyme, and a little bit of fresh rosemary. Okay, that's going to go in. I'm going to take a little bit more butter. And what we're going to do is we're going to start to just baste this over the chicken. And all that beautiful aromatics from the garlic and from the thyme are going to flavor that butter, and that's going to impart its flavor on the chicken. And this is a fairly common technique used in fine dining and Michelin star restaurants. When they finish meats or seafood, they'll usually do this basting technique. Okay? And this just gives a really, really nice flavor. And unfortunately, you can't smell this through a camera, but it does smell absolutely wonderful. I'm going to take my potato rosti or potato pancake, just slide that onto our plate. I'm going to take a little bit of our velouté sauce. And just put that right beside our potato cake there. And now, just tidy up a little bit here. We're going to take our chicken breast, okay, which has been resting for a few minutes. It's always really important, once you've cooked a piece of meat, whether it be beef, lamb, pork, chicken, whatever, is to let it rest a little bit. Because as you cook a piece of meat, the molecules inside, the water inside starts to expand. And if you cut it right away, that water will then expand out and it will leave the meat. Once you let it rest, it starts to calm down a little bit and that juice starts to go back into the center of the muscle. So I've let this rest a little bit. And so now I'm just going to make 4 nice slices. Okay. And as you can see, my chicken is just cooked all the way through. It's extremely juicy. It's dripping. Okay. So I'm just going to put my chicken right on top here. A little bit into the velouté, and then leading up onto the potato. And there you have a very simple roasted chicken breast with a pomme rosti and a roasted chicken velouté. Thanks for watching. See you next time.